Hey, how is it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Improper Critics. I am, of course, Risen Gaia. You can catch me here and over on Twitch. And, of course, we're here today with Derick, a.k.a. Mr. Jericho. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great for a Sunday. How about you, Adam?
Hey, got up, got to the gym, trying to stay on my health stuff. So, otherwise, everything's been good. What have you been up to? Let's see. It's been a week since we did our Xbox videos. What you been doing since then?
It has been a very busy week. So just kind of really, outside of work, work's been very stressful, but on the video game front, it's been a great week. I've kind of got my foot planted in the whole streamer thing. I've been streaming a lot on Twitch. We had a really good stream yesterday where I was playing Windblown, which is that new game by the Dead Cells developers. Overall great week. It's been a good week, man. How about yourself?
I just want to mention I was there for that stream, and that right there, man, that's the niche for you, dude. Those indie games, that was a lot of fun. That was a good show there. For sure. For me, I've mainly been, my focus right now has been, aside from games and stuff like that, which again, I'm still back on Cyberpunk 2077 for the fourth time, I think, on this playthrough. But aside from that, I've been working on getting everything ready for D&D. I think anybody who's in a D&D knows the final book for that comes out next couple of days. If you have D&D Beyond, the membership and everything, you get access to it. And, well, getting everything ready to go back on this coming Wednesday, which is, what is that, February 5th, where we're going to do over on my channel over on Twitch, that's Risen Gaia, and we're going to do D&D with viewers. So if you ever want to play D&D, or if you're looking for a game to get into, come by. I'll be going on there aiming for around 11 o'clock. That's Pacific time. And then join the Discord, get everything all set up, help you make a character, and I will run D&D for you right there. So if you're interested, come and check that out.
That's exciting.
Otherwise, yeah.
So I don't want to get too much off topic, but tell me about this book. What do you mean by like the final book? I knew there was like a new revision coming. Tell me more about that.
Because we're going into new D&D, which I had to look up the different titles they even have for it right now. Like some people call it new D&D.
Are they call it like 6E, like 6th edition or something like that?
So it seems like Wizard of the Coast have been pretty specific about that it's not 6th editions. People are even calling it like 5.5, but it seems to be mostly referred to as D&D 2024. It's just kind of an update to the previous 5e rules and everything. Okay. So we already had the player's handbook come out, got the Dungeon Master Guide came out, and then technically on the 18th. But again, if you have if you've bought the book and if you have the D&D Beyond, the Master membership or whatever like that, which I know a lot of people don't mess with D&D Beyond these days, but I still like the convenience of it. But if you have that, then you get access to it on the 4th. So that means that Tuesday, which is a work day for me, so I gotta fit it in there somewhere, is gonna be my day to study up on a whole bunch of new monsters when that monster manual comes out, and then Wednesday go live and throw them at people. Oh yeah!
Oh, you think you've seen this? You've seen nothing yet. Well, I didn't even realize we were going to talk about D&D, but I am rocking my D&D shirt. It says, "Don't worry, I have a plan." Just in case you roll a 1.
Yo, I need that right there.
Yeah. But normally I don't have a plan. Normally I'm too angry when I roll a 1. But anyway, enough about that. Enough about that. That's right. Moving on.
All right. Cool. But kind of getting into our subject for the day and everything like that. Did you have anything? Actually, I think you had something you're planning for your stream pretty soon too. What's going on with that?
Yeah, we got a couple things going on. I know when Monster Hunter Wilds comes out, I'm planning the full weekend, right? So that Friday, I already took it off. Saturday, Sunday, 3 days, all day, full stream, Monster Hunter Wilds. Super excited about that. I'm trying to my wife's already like, hey, we got a meal prep for this, right? Because I'll probably take a couple breaks here and there, but I'm planning to go pretty hard on that one. So I'm excited about that. And then on March 16th, I'm pretty sure I have to double check the date. But my wife and I are actually planning a full day stream for Split Fiction. So I know when we did our top games of 2024, that was up there on my list, and because of her and I playing It Takes Two together, so I knew when Split Fiction's coming out, I'm like, yeah, that's the play. So we'll be picking that up.
Nice.
I think it comes out on the 10th or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't have all my dates in front of me, but we'll be planning the full day 16th playing through Split Fiction. So I'm excited about those 2 dates for sure.
Legit, and I'll be there for that. I want to play it with my wife too, but we try to do the last one, the
It Takes
Better
Two.
Together. It Takes Two. That's it. And that one, it was fun, but it just kind of didn't continue from there. So it is what it is. BG3, she went insane for that one. She was like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's fine. But Split Fiction, I'm definitely like, if she doesn't play, then I'm waiting until you guys finish it up, and then you're gonna have to do a run.
Play it again. Me. Yeah, we'll make it happen. It'll be
definitely.
Fun.
All right, but also with can't really say new games coming out, but something I wanted to make sure to kind of bring up here because I'm a big sci-fi guy. No Man's Sky got yet another new update. This one keeps giving. Worlds Part 2 is the name of this latest patch, and man, I mean, you know what? A lot of controversy when that game came out, like rightfully so. Again, I'm a person, I followed it from announcement to release. I was upset, but I still managed to put 180 hours at that point in the base game before I was like, and then I came back when they started really like changing things. And this new one, I mean, just some of the things that's thrown in here, the landscapes are changing. It seems like they've kind of like elevations are a big part of it, right? Mountains are way higher. Peaks are insane on some of these planets. Actually going into the clouds, which wasn't something they really did before.
Interesting.
And then the valleys, like if you go down underwater and stuff like that, they go so insanely deep now, and it really makes things feel a lot more alive. That along with like the added in like this new dynamics or physics or whatever engine that they have going on with the water now, to where it moves much more realistically. It's not quite Sea of Thieves, but it's certainly like somewhere more along that level as far as how it moves. It actually has waves now. It's an insane overhaul. I've only gotten to play an hour or two here there to kind of get a taste for it, because I want to have some experience with it before getting on here. But man, it's still something that I know that I'm going to explore a whole lot. And I think you played with us No Man's Sky for a bit some time back, but
very little bit.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, I did pre-order the game. I actually have the collector's edition from the PlayStation 4, like the box edition, because I bought into the Sean Murray hype. Like, this dude had a passion for what he was building. And, I'm the type of person, right? Like, when somebody's passionate about something, I'd like get absorbed, right? I can watch a TED Talk for hours if you are passionate about what you're talking about. And so when Sean Murray, when he talked about this game, he just bled passion, and I bought into that. Unfortunately, and I don't want to spend too much.
Did.
Yeah. And, so it's my understanding that PlayStation was really kind of pushing that narrative, like, hey, you have to release on this date. And Sean was like, hey, no, it's not ready. They're like, you're doing it anyway. And, they took a hit for that. They definitely released an unfinished game.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't really say unfinished.
Even than that, though.
Yeah,
like their office was flooded. They had built the game. I don't know if the game they were originally making was the 1-in-1 to what we initially saw at E3 way back when. I don't know if that version had come out, if it was going to be closer to what they had dreamt of. But they had built the game. Their office flooded, and from my understanding, they essentially lost all their files.
I remember that.
They had to rebuild the game. So they did a second time with far less time to get the job done. And what we got was, I mean, unfortunately, a substandard, half-baked project.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think back of the little video or whatever like that, where it has the old E3 video playing, and it's got the Jurassic Park movie.
Yes.
Or not the movie, the soundtrack playing, and then it clips over to the real game, and it's playing it on the harmonica. Like, it was that.
It was.
And I'm a person who loves the game now, but man, for all the games out there, free to play or whatever else they might be, even a game that you paid that much money, a full price to get, none of them that I'm aware of have given so much back to their game. They made up for that mistake like 6 patches ago.
I would agree, right? I definitely think, Sean had a vision and he was not going to let publishers bring it down. He wasn't going to let, number of sales bring it down. He wasn't going to let reviews bring it down. Like, he had this vision and he did everything he could to build that vision for his team, himself, and his player base. And that has proven time and time again that you can be successful and you don't have to nickel and dime your customer base, because, I have bought No Man's Sky 3 times, and I do it because I'm bought into that passion, but I don't know. The game just never sticks for me, unfortunately. Like, I'm huge into survival. I love Minecraft. I love Terraria. I love games like that. But I'm not huge into space travel. And so I'm not really huge into like the oxygen stuff. And I feel like every time I play that game, I get put on like the worst starting planet. Like, oh, now there's toxic, you have to avoid the toxic, or it's too hot, or it's too cold. Yeah. I just never had a good start, and I just never really got into it because of that. But I have a question for you, because the whole time you're talking about like them building out the worlds with the elevation and the water, what I'm hearing is this is probably an upgrade to the engine to support Light No Fire. Would you agree?
That's what I'm thinking, is that they're kind of, I don't know if reverse engineering is the right term for it, but basically, like, it seems like maybe as they're working on Light No Fire, the things they're learning as they're making those new processes there, instead of doing what most would do, which is, no, we're going to keep that over here because we want to make sure. I feel like
charge $20 for it.
Exactly, right. I feel like they're bringing a lot of that back over and saying, man, we learned this new great thing, because they're obviously using very similar processes there. It's just Light No Fire is just saying, hey, let's take the vastness of that game, of the game we already made, and put it down on one planet. We'll remove the space travel and everything like that. I'm sure there's going to be other means to get around. I've seen videos of them flying on dragons and stuff like that. But we're not going to make it so much about finding other planets. It's just the diversity of this one world. And so I feel like as they're learning things, because they're still working with the same kind of bones there, they're saying, whoa, we can do this here, so we can definitely do that there. Because, the worlds on No Man's Sky now, they're becoming way more diverse. The creatures are getting way different. Like, there was one that I saw the other night, and I couldn't figure out what this thing was. It was this weird. It almost looks like a D12 die.
Really? Okay.
Like this weird little creature that, like, and you go over to it. I scanned it. It's an organic. It's a living being, and I got close, and it started spinning and dipped out. I was like, okay. Like,
that's great.
Yeah, like the growth there, and it only makes me that much more ready for Light No Fire, because
Same.
Like, I'm sure they're holding something back, right? They have to be holding something back for that one.
I am stoked. Like, every time they push an update to No Man's Sky, I'm like, okay, this is probably something that they just worked the kinks out with Light No Fire, and they are the type of developer that, hey, let's just put it out there for our existing player base, and they'll give us feedback. And I think they're kind of using that to make sure that Light No Fire is everything that they want it to be. Yeah, I can't wait for that one. But that was on our list as well for most anticipated 2025 for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Solid that's some awesome news for No Man's Sky fans.
Major props to Hello Games.
Absolutely, always.
And
then we've got, let's get into some stuff about the big three here, right? So first off,
big three as in, oh, okay, I got you.
As an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, at the top there, Xbox starting to bring over games. I believe is it Forza? Is it 5?
Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, that was announced to come out. Yep. I've also heard
over to PlayStation.
Rumors of the Master Chief Collection is coming over as well. Which is crazy, right? Like, think about when we were kids. You would never think that Halo is coming to PlayStation. It's crazy.
It wasn't possible. We used to make fan fiction about just these characters running into each other in an alleyway and stuff like that. So the imagining of them actually showing on another console and seeing some of the differences there, I would love to play the Master Chief Collection on PS5. I'd definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
what are your thoughts on that? Like, what are your thoughts on the Xbox games going to PlayStation? Curious.
So I get a little torn on it, right? Because I'm full on in the camp that the idea of games not having, if it has any multiplayer and it doesn't have crossplay in it, these days, that's originally it wasn't such a big deal to me. You know, most of us were on PlayStation anyways. It didn't really matter. But as time has gone on, games that don't have crossplay, that really stands out. But games going over like that, I think it's great for people, right? There's no bit of me that's like, oh, this is bad for the consumer. But what comes to my mind is, for one, some of those flagship games, they pull you to a console, right? There are people who buy PlayStation for, you know, Spider-Man and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a sign of the industry, at least console-wise, shrinking a bit to where they can't rely on that anymore. And everything's getting so much more expensive. Grand Theft Auto 6 is talking about, hey, maybe instead of $70, it should be $60, or at least people are having that conversation.
I heard 100. So, like, there's rumors going around this could be $100 game.
That's what I meant. It's supposed to go from $70 to $100 game. And it's like, no, no, you guys have spent all the time dicing our games up and selling them to in pieces. Most games, as a fact, a full game, most of them are $100 anyways, because that DLC you're buying, those extra items you're buying and stuff like that to have in the game, that's stuff that they cut out anyways. That was the full game. So they're already doing that. And what they're going to do is they're going to make those games that full price, and then they're going to still want to charge another, now it's going to be $40 extra for those other parts. But anyways, back to
Xbox.
Hand, the Xbox stuff. I think it's good, but at the same time, to me, part of what I wonder is if it's showing that the subscription model that Xbox has really been pushing and kind of, to some degree, drug some other, competitors along to and stuff, isn't what it was cut out to be. And me, I've been kind of skeptical about that model for years.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. I think. Well, go ahead. Finish your train of thought.
Because if the subscription model was enough to sustain these games, then I don't think they would be, because again, it's something to lure them to their subscription and everything. It's something to lure them to their console. So if that was working so well and they were making, good money and everything like that on that end, I don't know if they would be, there's a gray area. There's a balancing act to it. And at some point, where did it topple over to where it's like, no, we need to release this in more places? Because, Master Chief Collection coming to PS5. PS5 does not have that huge of an installer base. PS4 is still like 2/3, if not 3/4. I can't remember the exact number of the PlayStation player base. Most of them are still on PS4s. So it's not this huge market. We've seen Final Fantasy 15 came out. Was it 15 or 6? Whatever the last one was.
16,
I think it was 16. Yeah, it came out, and Square Enix, they basically blamed the fact that they went exclusive on PlayStation, and PlayStation doesn't have a big enough share, share of the market and everything to have sustained with the numbers they want in that game. They wanted 10 million sales, but there's let's just say 15 million. They'd have to hope that 2/3 of everyone is going to buy their game. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's showing that subscription model thing is not quite as future-proof as they thought it was.
See,
they got to be losing money.
I feel differently. I feel like somebody at Microsoft said, hey, if right now our competition is Sony, right? That's what they were looking at. This is last gen. Let's just kind of bring it back a little bit. So sometime last gen, our competition is Sony. And they realized that through terrible communication with the Xbox One, terrible design decisions with the Xbox One, terrible messages about DRM, terrible messages about the Kinect, terrible messages about always online, they ended up segregating their user base. So consumers had options, right? Do I stay with Microsoft with all these uncertainties, or do I go with Sony, who was literally picking fun of every one of those messages? I'll never forget the trailer of, I forget the guy. He's like, this is how you loan games on Sony. They handed him over, right? Exactly. Yeah. You'll never forget that. But unfortunately, that was the worst possible time, because at the start of last gen, that's when people started building their digital collections. That's when people like me were like, I don't really have the room for all these physical games. I'm all in on digital. It's easy I don't have to get out of my chair. I can download them, and everything was just going digital anyway. So now we're at the start of last gen, right? So we're building our digital libraries. So now when next gen comes out, what am I going to do? If all my library is on PlayStation, why am I going to jump ship to Xbox or vice versa, right? So you take that mentality of last gen. Somewhere along the lines, Xbox had to decide, we've lost the race against Sony. So who is Xbox? And I think over the past year or so, maybe 2 years, that narrative is no longer about the box, which is crazy because the name is Xbox, right? But Xbox is now so much more than that. If you've seen like their latest ad campaigns, they show like a laptop, this is an Xbox, an iPad, this is an Xbox, a mobile phone, this is an Xbox. They're trying to change your and my narrative of what an Xbox is. And they're now pushing the platform, right? I think that, now obviously I'm not Microsoft, but I think Microsoft is, I'm no longer concerned about Sony. I'm looking at Amazon. I'm looking at Steam. I'm looking at the big platform holders. And that's where their narrative is shifting. Xbox does not care if you have the box. They want you on their platform. One of the things that, I don't know if you saw, but Phil Spencer was interviewed recently. And there was a lot of content that came from that. Shout out to Dustin Legary. He did a great job with that interview. I've always liked Dustin. I've watched him for years through IGN. But one of the things that Phil stood out, or one of the things that came out, because I'll just highlight a couple of things. One, he did not say every game was coming to PlayStation. In fact, he was specifically asked about Starfield, and he would not answer about Starfield. So they're right. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But one of the things they asked was, is Xbox losing its identity? Are Xbox consoles going away? If I'm a consumer, why should I buy an Xbox? And his response to that was interesting. His response was, at Xbox, basically, it's not a direct quote, but we respect your progress and games, and our goal is to make them available as many places. We want to innovate our hardware, but the biggest revenue games are multi-platform and live service. And that's kind of the narrative that they're spinning now, right? Like they don't care anymore about console sales. They want you in their ecosystem. And whether that is you buying your games through Microsoft Store or through the Xbox app on PC, because now, as a consumer, if I buy my game on Xbox PC, I have it on Xbox console. I have it on xCloud. That's a selling factor, Whereas with
but my whole thing is, I think there's a much worse tipping point for that for consumers, right? Because like I was saying, with the games coming over to here, there was a tipping point where it's like, oh, what money are we missing out on? But the tipping point with like the digital stuff, I think, has been just worse and worse for consumers. We did all like go all in on digital. I did too. I used to buy, new games or used games, and I'd go up, and especially like back in the day, GameStop, when it was the best place to go for games, they had the best trade-in deals. You can go in, buy a game that's slightly used. You could trade that game in up to 3 times. Go back there, do a refund, get a different game, and then do a refund and get a different game. And that last one you had to keep. So what you would do is you would go in there, you would pick a game that you kind of want to play, then you do another one you kind of want to play, then you get the one you really want.
You had the whole system figured out, didn't you?
Whole system. We all did it, and say what you want, but it kept people moving in there. We went to it for that reason, because you only had 3 weeks. Not like I could go in there and just keep everything for a month and coming in whenever. Like it was a time crunch thing. But as we've all moved over to digital slowly over time, first off, digital never paid off the way it should have to begin with, right? Digital should have been cheaper from physical from the get-go, because again, they're not paying to package and send out and all this and that.
Send the plastic or the paper.
Yeah, they're not giving Walmart a share and everything like that. So it should have been cheaper to begin with. But, we all said, whatever, it's more convenient. And that was the trade-off, was the convenience.
Was the trade-off,
but
for sure.
As time has gone on, now, first off, you can't trade in a digital game. Once you have it, you have it. That money is gone. There's no trading if you don't play that game anymore. I have an account with 500 plus PlayStation games, and you know what? Those are games that I own that'll just sit there forever. I can't sell those at a yard sale or give them to a friend or nothing like that. They're just there, right? And now it's gotten to where it's, they're making it much more a point to point out, hey, you don't actually own any of this. You own the right to play this. But if we take it away, well, it wasn't yours to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. If it's not there, you have a right to play something that doesn't exist. Great. And there are games that are on my account. You can go down, I think it's Amazing Spider-Man #2, the video game or whatever. I scroll down to that in my PlayStation catalog because sometimes I'm like, hey, I'll play an old Spider-Man game. It doesn't exist anymore. It's a game that I paid for that is just gone, evaporated into thin air.
There are risks with any type of digital content, right? Because you are just buying a license that can be revoked at any time.
But with the subscription stuff, look at the other subscription services that we've seen grow over time when it comes to video media. Look how Netflix has gone, where a lot of their stuff is trash, or it's like just, old stuff that you don't care to watch anymore. It's not that great. The prices are going up and up. They're adding in all kinds of extra things you don't need. Like they're cutting their tiers up more and more and more. And because they got us away from physical, so physical sales on a lot of that media has basically, all but tanked, except for those people who like to collect stuff. But that's kind of the market there. Everyone else is digital.
Yeah.
So now that the other market is so wounded and on its last leg, that's when they show their real teeth. And that's my fear with these subscription services for games like that, because like we'll talk more about this later and the issues there. But I mean, I'll get the premium thing on PlayStation, but that's more for older games. It gives you a lot of old games that, wouldn't play otherwise. My kids can go on there and play it. I see the appeal to it. But once it's gotten to where games aren't selling on them, people aren't buying games because it's not part of their, subscription package and stuff like that. And they're kind of left over there on the wayside, and those fell out. Once it becomes much more, if you want your game to succeed, somehow you got to get it into the subscription service. Yeah. And then once they get us all round in there like cattle, that's when they're going to pull the rug out. That's when all of a sudden these services are going to start charging more. They took that first step with Xbox.
They have, and they went up, and we kind of, if you were following they
diced up their tiers. When the base model lost because again, I get it. They got to make money, but that was always the thing, right? Is that it was always meant, in my opinion, to function at somewhat of a loss because it's Microsoft and they can afford it. They can afford to operate at a bit of a loss until they get everyone nice and wrangled in. And then that's when things are going to start shooting up. When the base model lost access to like streaming, like certain day ones or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Which a lot of people care about that. I mean, I think for me, there can be an argument of, did they do it for consumers or did they do it for them? And I'm sure there are corporations, they probably did it for them. But there are a lot of consumers that do not care about day and date. There are a lot of consumers that they just want to play their Halo Infinite online and just play multiplayer, And so you do need to offer different services for them. But I will say this. So I saw the Xbox Game Pass, they actually have positive revenue. So they are making money off of Game Pass. I don't think it's the subscription service that's driving this point of bringing crossplay. I really just think that the landscape of gaming is changing and Microsoft is going to be a part of that, and they are driving that home.
But here's the thing, with the revenue they're making, right? They might be making revenue, but if they're making revenue and they're closing down studios and firing people, which they have done plenty of, then they're not making revenue off of their business model. They're making revenue off of the cuts they're making. That's how they're keeping themselves in the green. They invest a bunch of money here and there. They get it out there. They bring in whatever pile of cash. They say, okay, we brought this in, spent that. Okay, if we operate as is, then we're going to lose money because we got to pay people. But now we cut this, and eventually those cuts start to happen more and more over time, and you start seeing those effects. They don't happen right away. Immediately, you're still playing the game that got you to get it to begin with. But now when that company's next game come out, and it's all of a sudden, why is this all janky? Why is this all glitchy and stuff? Well, because they're no longer the same people they were the last time, because they had to make sure that revenue was up in the green.
Yeah, now, I'm not sure if like the layoffs factor into the Game Pass revenue, but that's a touchy subject. especially for somebody like me. I work in the tech industry. I understand. I've had dear close friends impacted by layoffs in this industry, especially post COVID. So it's a touchy subject. I don't know if that necessarily plays a part in the revenue. But I think the point that I want to drive home is I don't think Game Pass has anything to do with bringing their games multi-plat. I think really and truly Xbox just does not care about the box anymore. They're still going to make the box for the people that want the box, because there are some that do. But their eyes are wider. They're looking at platform from a platform perspective. They want you in their ecosystem. They don't care where you are. They don't care if you're on Sony. I guarantee if Sony was like, or they don't care if you're on PlayStation. I guarantee you if Sony said, hey, you can bring Game Pass over here, they would do it in a heartbeat, because they don't care.
They put on a lot of stuff. Like I think Roku have them, a lot of smart TVs now.
Yeah,
you can just
They do not care where you're playing games, because they want you bought into that ecosystem. They want you playing on an Xbox, regardless of that Xbox is your computer, your phone, your tablet, or your PlayStation. They don't care. And I think it's smart. I think it's a smart narrative. I really do.
Again, I don't think it's like as far as like the narrative, especially, I don't think it's not smart as far as business wise. It's just my concern always goes to whenever one company in any industry gets too big for its britches, I think it's just always, it doesn't go great in my opinion. Once upon a time we had Sega and everybody else out there, and it's always kind of been some level of three, right? At first it was like you had Nintendo and Sega, and then all of a sudden here comes along Sony, and then Sega's gone, but hey, here comes Xbox. It's always been kind of these three battling it out. And if one gets too big, like people are like the console wars are dead, and I love that, because the console wars are always stupid to me. I have no allegiance to any corporation anywhere, right? I know they all just want my money. No allegiances nowhere. But like,
a lot of people do care about that, which is crazy, right? But I mean,
I used to. But I like corporations to compete, not consumers. I want them competing, not us. So that's
consumers
that's kind of my
benefit. I agree. Like, as far as consolidation, right? Like, the market does not need to consolidate anymore. I mean, obviously it will. There are going to be buyouts, and you do have the risk of those larger corporations owning a fat majority of the landscape, and that's never good, right? Like, obviously, I know that, because I do believe that competition drives results. And competition's always better for the consumer. Like, there's no scenario where competition is worse. I say no scenario. Somebody's going to comment and be like, "What about this and that?" But and normally, competition is better for the consumer. So I'm excited for what they're doing. I think they're smart. I think they're making strides in the right direction. They brought their games day and date on Game Pass. They brought their games day and date on PC. Sony's now saying, "Hey, this is a missed opportunity for us. We're losing money," and I'm hoping they start releasing their stuff day and date.
I mean, I can't hate directly on Game Pass itself, because on its face, again, I have a lot of my issues are like, my own brain thinking it's smarter than it probably is, and all these little fissures I'm seeing coming down the line and stuff. But to be fair, if you flip it on the other side and look over at PlayStation, they're not doing themselves any favors in that regards. Like, I wish they would compete more in that whole mindset of getting people over their service, because again, if there's competition there, then I get less skeptical. I get less concerned about it, because I know that competition is going to mean that one of them is not going to push too far. Right. And honestly, right now, PS Plus, especially if you're talking about PS Premium, is just absolute smelly in the hot desert wind trash. The stuff that they've been giving there, just all of it. Like I said, I normally get the premium. Specifically, I don't play too much on premium, but my kids, they always want to play new stuff, yada, yada, yada. So it gives a pretty big library of random games and a lot of older ones that I used to play way back when, that I can play with them and show them and stuff.
Right.
But the offerings, the stuff that they're offering on there and putting on there, like last one was like Suicide Squad. And then again, just games that nobody wants. They're not helping themselves. It's gone downhill. They raised their prices. They've added in all these other tiers and stuff. And yet, meanwhile, the quality of the games they're giving and everything is just going down more and more and more. And that's going to push people further to like, well, why wouldn't I just get, an Xbox on an Xbox? Hey, I got Game Pass right here on my TV. And again, I think that's part of why I don't know about them sending their games over there, because for PlayStation at this point, in a lot of regards, those exclusives are all they have.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about consoles aren't that big of a deal anymore. I personally still like consoles because of the convenience. I like the PS5. I love the controllers. I'm all for the adaptive triggers. I enjoy the experience, particularly on that console. But that's not going to be enough to pull anybody over to choose that one over just getting Game Pass. So all they have are those exclusives. So I don't know if they're going to let those go, because at that point, if you can get, PlayStation exclusives or PlayStation games on whatever your Xbox, account or whatever is linked up to, especially, maybe they'll release it to where it's like you can get the game and play it on an Xbox, but no to PC, no to Game Pass streaming or anything like that. Maybe they'd go that route because it's just straight sales numbers. But again, what else does PlayStation have right now? Nothing. They
have put themselves in an interesting position. So I can't really comment on the PlayStation subscription. I'm not a member. I don't even own a PlayStation anymore. So I can't really comment on that. But I think Sony has found themselves in a very interesting position. They went all in on live service, which has backfired completely, which seems like everybody knew it would. So I don't know why. It's obvious. And then even last week, I heard they canceled 4 more live service games, or maybe that was the week before. I can't remember the time frame.
Good on that. Good on that. We're over the live service stuff.
Right,
it's
right.
Dead.
I think they are definitely in an interesting position. They have Ghost of Yotai coming out. I don't really know what their 2025 looks like. I did hear that they are planning another PlayStation Direct next month. So that'll be exciting, just because I think everybody's in the same boat. Hey, what do you have going on right now? But because they won that PS4 generation where people were building up their digital libraries, the most average consumer, they see no value in jumping ship to Xbox. And Xbox knows that. And they're like, hey, think about it from Xbox perspective. They have literally nothing to lose putting their games on PlayStation. They just don't.
I think it's what's that saying? PlayStation is what is it? Less resting on their laurels.
Yeah,
they won. Say what you will, because I did have a PlayStation. Before I got a PlayStation, I got the Xbox One before I got the PS4.
I remember that.
And I got it specifically for Dead Rising 3, which was not great. The best game that I played on Xbox One was Sunset Overdrive. That was my absolute MVP of that console.
Great
and
game.
Everything else that came out there was basically trash, in my opinion. Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is, right?
It really was a rough
PlayStation dominated that generation. There was no comparison. Bloodborne alone was enough to give it the crown.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, they've said, oh, we won, so we're king, so no one can challenge us. And, in a certain sense, if you want to get, very metaphorical about it, in a certain sense, they put out Game Pass, and Xbox is out here rallying up the townspeople. They're about to revolt against the king. And at this point, the king just sitting up there, king nothing, sitting on his empty throne, because there is not much going on. Now again, there have been some great games that come out. But aside from just some games of a very high quality, Ghost of Tsushima was great.
Spider-Man series.
The Spider-Mans, those are great. But God of War.
The Demon Souls remake was amazing.
Yeah, see, but I
want that to come to PC so bad.
It doesn't have the like connected experience like that it's awesome to own this console. These games are awesome, but it just doesn't feel like the console's making them awesomer. It doesn't feel like it's like a together thing. There's these games that come out and they're here or there and they're great, but a lot of it is just third party stuff anyways. And I don't know. It's all just very. This whole console generation has been very unimpressive. I would say. There's been some great games, but those are like the exceptions that prove the rule. Like some of them were so great because it's like, well, what the hell else was I going to play?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
it's all about timing,
so,
right? Like nothing has come out in 2 months and you drop an Indiana Jones and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. But you know, when Sony does release a first party story based game, it is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
And
yeah,
even when they're not story based, like you got Returnal. I love Returnal. You know, it is a phenomenal game and it came out of left field. So when they need, I wouldn't say they need to stick to what they know. I would never say that. I think innovation is key in any type of industry, but let the NetEase do your live service. You know, don't, you know, it's stay with what you innovate when possible, right? But don't lose sight of the people and the reason that majority of people chose your PlayStation over an Xbox, because they prefer the exclusives. That's where it all kind of started. You have people like you and me who preferred the exclusives. We bought the PlayStations, and then we had our neighbor reach out to us like, hey, I want to get a console because I heard about Call of Duty. What should I get? I'm obviously going to say PlayStation. And it's just word of mouth. And it just slowly built up and snowballed. And now we're in the situation that we're in now.
Now, if someone were to say, hey, I want to start playing games, what should I get? I'd be like, do you have a computer?
Yeah, build a PC, baby.
Well, I mean, not even like build a PC, because again, PC is great, amazing, but there's an entry thing to PC. PC is not like consoles. If you just want to play your game and not have to worry about anything like that, I don't ever have to worry that I'm going to buy a game on PlayStation and it not work.
Yeah,
my PC is not trash, but it's not the best, and it's somewhere in the middle where I can run most games. When a game pops up and I just can't play it, I'm like, looking at you, Indiana Jones. You know what you did. But
it's the same conversation when you think about the digital versus physical, right? Like you have convenience versus not. And that's kind of the same thing when you come to building PC. You know, if you buying a console is all about convenience. I just got off work. I just got home. I'm exhausted. I ate dinner and now I'm ready to just relax. I don't want to stress about anything. What's your best use case? Console all day.
Yeah.
There's no arguing with that.
But then there's some out there who do it. Let's just keep things simple. And of course, I'm talking about that third little part of the pyramid there. Oh, Nintendo.
This is march to the beat of their own drum, don't they?
Yo, I mean, yeah, and that drum is got a hole in it. Anyways, I'm not. No hate on Nintendo. I actually don't have no hate for Nintendo. I'm not a Nintendo person, but they're very meh, whatever to me, right? So old news, everyone's seen it by now, but we did want to kind of chat a little bit about the Switch 2 announcement and showing some of it off and the specs and everything like that.
Stoked.
Now, I've already shown my bias just a little bit, so I'll share my comments more in a second, but why don't you go ahead and I'm sure you probably know more about the details on it than me anyways.
For sure. For it. Yeah. I am stoked. I of a sound mind when I say the best setup you can have if you are a gamer is a gaming PC and a Nintendo Switch. If you have that, you're good. Or a Steam Deck and a Switch, depending on, we can argue either way. Because think about it, like you got your PC, you got your Xbox games, right? You have all the amazing indie games that just come to Steam. You have PlayStation exclusives now coming to PC. And then you have Nintendo for the Nintendo who just beats to their own drum. Nintendo games have a special place in my heart. They always have, especially Pokemon. As a child, it got me through some pretty dark times when I was in my youth. And Mario Party and Mario and just Legend of Zelda, like those franchises mean something to me. So I'm always paying attention to what Nintendo is doing. So Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, I thought was great. I think it was very short-lived. I think it was ahead of time. I don't think they wanted to announce it yet. I think they sent like units to their accessory makers and they're like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. start building accessories. And those accessory makers like, okay, cool, let me post this on Reddit. And the leak started and they just snowballed. And I mean, before the announcement, we pretty much knew everything about the Switch 2 and how it was going to look and yada, yada, yada. So I think Nintendo did what they should have and just, hey, this is an official announcement. This is what it looks like. This is a very high level trailer of what you're going to be seeing here shortly, and we're going to give you more details later. I still have a lot of questions about the Switch 2, but I know I'm buying it regardless. There is no doubt in my mind. I'm hoping for an OLED version because this is going to sound kind of snobby, but once you go OLED and you see true black, it's really hard to go back to LCD. It's just tough. So I have the OLED Steam Deck. I have an OLED gaming monitor. And I would love to have an OLED Switch too. But, worst case scenario, it releases as an LCD. I buy it as LCD. I play it on my OLED. Don't really care. I'm buying it either way. But yeah, a couple of things about the trailer that I thought were really...
LCD is like so 2016. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I knew it was going to sound snobby, but it is what it is. I like what I like. I like what I like.
I have a Vita somewhere in my closet back here. OLED Vita. Why is Switch 2 LCD? OLED Vita. What year was the Vita?
Well, I heard that the LCD is supposed to be really good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see more. I think they're doing like the big announcement in a month or so. I wrote the date down. I just don't have it in front of me. I should have come prepared. But I'm excited about it. There's a couple things that stood out about the trailer. I like the sticks, or not the sticks, but I like the Joy-Cons, the way they kind of magnetize on. I have questions about that. There's like this little piece that sticks out of the Switch. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, that's probably going to be a source of problems, right? Depending on if we just don't know. There's also that other button on the right Joy-Con that people are like, what is that? Maybe that's for, there's rumors that you could take the Joy-Con off and use it as a mouse. And people were thinking maybe that button enables that mode. Which sounds crazy, but then if you go back and rewatch the trailer thinking that, you see there's like scenes where the Joy-Cons are rolling across the surface, and it looks like a mouse.
Look at it, it looks like there's some kind of other attachment that goes on the bottom for the mouse setting.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Those are probably mouse like clickers and everything like that.
You never know.
I think little magnetic connector things. I think that's their actual solution to a stick drift. They're like, don't worry. They will break long before the drift ever sets in.
Okay, I see. I took for a minute. Yeah, for some reason I did not catch where you were going. That's pretty funny though. But I'm pretty sure they're Hall effect sticks. Like there's no shot that they release the Joy-Cons with the same sticks. Like I think starting Switch 2 generation going forward, Hall effects. There's these new sticks. I can't remember what they were called. Somebody will probably put in our comments that are competing with Hall effect sticks. But at the end of the day, like stick drift, starting 2025 should be a thing of the past. Like these new controllers, anything that comes out that does not prevent stick drift is a waste of your time. I got this Vader 4 Pro quick plug-in on that. No stick drift. I love it.
I'm pretty sure you sleep with that thing at night, don't you?
Maybe.
Every time he gets a chance, he loves showing off his little Vader controller. I guarantee he's at night just in there petting it. No
it's amazing.
Back pedals, turbo mode.
You know what? Yes, I do. Yeah, it's a great controller. But yeah, the point is, I'm excited to kind of see more about the Switch 2. We saw a new Mario Kart, which is exciting, right? We're tired of playing the same one. Yeah, I'm excited to see.
I'm sure I'll eventually get one for my kids or whatever like that. My daughter, she liked the original one because she had the what's that? Animal Leaf or whatever that game is called.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, she loved that game. She played some of the other stuff on there. My son had one too. He didn't really care for it. He wanted to play the PlayStation, so he has his own that he plays now. But I'm sure eventually I'll probably get one for them or whatever. Maybe I'll check it out a little bit. But it's just one of those things. It's just not what I'm looking for. Like that's my problem with Nintendo these days. A lot of what they have, and again, no hate on them. No hate if you enjoy them. We got plenty of friends who they'll buy them for Zelda alone, for sure. I would probably buy. I would be more interested if I saw more games that were like, oh, I want that. A real like good looking Metroid game. Metroid was my favorite back on like, GameCube and stuff like that. Like, and I mean, I think GameCube was the last, like, not the last Nintendo I owned, but the last one I really got into, because it felt like GameCube. I don't know why it felt like it was like the more mature of the Nintendo consoles.
It
Everything
did.
after that felt like they were like going back to their toy maker roots. But that one felt like they said, "Oh yeah, okay, PlayStation and Xbox, y'all want to get real '90s, early 2000s gritty with it. Let's go!" And they came out with it, and I mean, that's where I played freaking Resident Evil 4 for the first time. Like,
Great machine. Yeah.
Oh, it was a great machine. Phantasy Star Online. I just felt like there was more stuff on there that interested me. And with the newer ones, I haven't really seen any of that. And any of the games that they do have on there that would interest me are multi-platform that are going to run better on another console. Did you see the Mortal Kombat 1 clips? Oh my Lord.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like you buy a Nintendo for Nintendo games, and the people who only buy Nintendos, then they have options for third parties. But yeah, in no world would somebody who have two consoles purchase the game on the Switch.
And again, no hate on Nintendo, right? I'm old school Nintendo. That was my first console was an NES, the original. The one, not the one that some of y'all might see where you put the cartridge in up here. No, the old NES where had a little flip thing and you had to push it down like an old school VCR. Yeah. Oh yeah, we old school. We from way back when. But
that just reminded me of a funny clip I saw. I can't remember what it was. I think it was some type of stand-up comedy. What was it? I don't know. But he was talking about the Nintendo and how, like, you'd have to blow in it and like, but like it's been scientifically proven where that actually did nothing.
I've heard it.
But then like what on the clip, the person tried to do it and the person took it out, blew it, and it worked fine. So
but it works. I don't care what it was. Maybe
we did everything.
Figure out right scientifically.
Q-tip with a rubbing alcohol. Yeah, we tried everything. Q-tip with a rubbing alcohol and blow it into it. Oh yeah.
That was it.
Good old
every
days.
time. You can't tell me it didn't work, because otherwise, either that or I got some magic in my saliva that was happening, because it worked every time. But I want to see more stuff. Like, one thing I love about Nintendo is that they are very creative and they are very innovative and they like to try new things. Which I think the game that I was most tempted in like trying to play on the first Switch was that was it the Mario World? Whichever one he threw his cap on stuff, his hat on things.
Mario Odyssey. Take him over. So good. That such one, amazing game.
I didn't get a chance to play it, but that one almost got me. That one looked, because the concept of it was just interesting. I was like, oh, that's cool. And you throw on a dinosaur and all this different stuff. I'm like, that's the kind of thing that interests me. But a lot of what I see on there is like Animal Crossing or
bro. Hold on, time out. I know you didn't just say all the things that are like, bro. Animal Crossing is so good. Bro. Like, what are you talking about? All right. And there goes the rest of the followers that we had. You talk trash about one of the best games of all time, and people.
I'm not talking trash. I'm just saying I don't want to play.
Yeah. Maybe that's what you need, is a little bit of Animal Crossing in your life. It'll bring you down a few notches. It's just, for me, Animal Crossing is like simpler Stardew Valley, right? So Stardew, like, you loved Stardew Valley.
I love
right?
Stardew Valley. Yeah.
So think about Stardew Valley with just a little bit less stress, because as your seasons progress in Stardew, it starts to get a little stressful. Think about Stardew with a little bit less stress. You have Animal Crossing. It's an amazing game and the perfect stress reliever. So
see, I can't lie. When I want to chill stress reliever game, that's one of the main times I go back to No Man's Sky. That game is straight up just like lethargic, flying around, just doing whatever, explorer mode. But I regress. Like, I know there's other stuff, so nobody come for me down there. I know it's not just Animal Crossing, and that Nintendo has games. They got Zelda. They got other stuff that they don't make much of. Hey, Metroids exists out there somewhere. Like, they own properties. I get it. I understand. I'm not disparaging their game catalog that like to keep hidden up like it's freaking Walt Disney's vault. But a lot of like the big games that I see on there, me as an average gamer, an older guy, I play plenty of action. I play the first amount of games, you know. I would probably play a Civilization game on I even have one on Vita. I'd probably play a game like that, you know. I bet you'd be really cool for like some, you know, real-time strategy games on there and stuff. But
right, especially if you have like the mouse, like think about it. If you have like the mouse feature,
that sounds cool to me. And if I see games like that come out, that'll make me be like, oh man, I can play, you know, whatever this, you know, not Command and Conquer, but something similar to that on here. You know, although I don't know how powerful it is, it might just barely be able to run like StarCraft 2 or something. But, you know, whatever. That's besides the point. If I see some games
You're
like
just trying to get everybody to hate us. So I think, well, let's talk about that for a minute, because the Steam Deck and like the Lenovo Go and the ROG, or the ROG, whatever, Ally, like these handheld devices are proving you can build a powerful handheld device. And so I'm excited for the Switch too. I don't think you're going to get 4K, 60 frames per second ray tracing, but you can probably get 1080p, 60 frames per second, which, you know, with a smaller screen is perfectly acceptable.
We'll see. I don't know about 60 frames per second. I think I've heard again. I don't exactly hang out in the Nintendo stratosphere, so I don't know exact numbers. But I saw someone say that it's probably it seems about as strong as maybe a PS4 Pro.
Yeah,
which handheld PS4 Pro
is fine.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
but I don't think it certainly wasn't running anything at 4. I guess it was doing 1080, 60 frames on some games. Sure. So maybe, you know, if it can just run other games, normal games at just a basic frame rate or whatever, then cool. I'm not against it. I'm not like, oh, I'm not buying this. Oh, Nintendo is for children. And all things game related mostly are for children. But guess what? I'm a big kid on the inside. Like I said, that Mario Galaxy looked fun to me. I didn't get a chance to play it, but those are kind of the interesting things that, you know, piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that from Nintendo. But as it is right now, especially like with what we've seen of the Nintendo Switch 2 so far, and it really just being a slightly bigger with the worse screen, a little more powerful, but still not like, I need to see the games. I need to see what games are really coming like that. And
like, we know you're going to get a new Mario Kart. We know we're probably going to get
Mario
another
Kart
Smash Brothers.
Isn't going to do it for me.
Like Smash Brothers, probably. We know there's going to be more Pokemon games. But, you know, when you said the PS4 Pro performance, I just did a quick search. The PS4 Pro is very similar to the Xbox Series S as far as raw performance. In fact, the Pro can, just based on this generic AI answer, whatever, looks like the PS4 Pro can achieve a higher peak resolution, but the performance Go, as far as like performance, the Xbox Series S, is a little bit more better in performance just because of the SSD, you know, the hard drive. And so if you have a Switch performing at the level of a PS4 Pro, and you have the speeds of an SSD, because surely I hope they put an SSD in the thing, then you could have a very powerful handheld console. I mean, think about it. Series S performs fine. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I know how you feel about the Series S, but it performs
it's
fine.
Confirmed. It has held many a games back being at that level right there. So
completely disagree.
What that tells me, there have been plenty of devs who came out and say we had this problem with the game because we couldn't release it here. Part of why I don't know if it's out now, but that was part of the delay for Baldur's Gate 3 coming out.
Yet
on Xbox,
your PC can run. I mean, here's the thing. That is just. I love Larian Studios. This is not a jab at them, but it's a DirectX box. If I'm a developer, if I can get Baldur's Gate 3 to run on your computer, Adam, then there's no reason why I can't get it to run on a Series S. I mean, that's just where it is. That's just kind of how Windows and DirectX and that kind of ecosystem for computer development works. When you build a game for PC, You build it for wide range of computers, right? Same thing for the Xbox. The Xbox is literally just you take the Windows built or whatever game and you just put it in console format. There really is no reason why the Series S is holding anything back.
I don't know the technical side to it, but I do know that there have been multiple developers who have said that it has been a handicap on them making certain games. Like on them getting things out. I can't speak beyond that because again, I don't know the whole technical end. You know more on that side than I do, so I'll believe what you're saying as far as like there's nothing technical that should be a problem, but there's something in there that a number of them keep on saying, hey, this makes it more difficult because we got to make sure it works there too.
I hear you.
Now, as far as like the Switch 2, if the Switch 2 is kind of in that area there, what that would tell me is that I still would not want a Switch 2 for anything except for Nintendo exclusive games.
For sure.
I would not want it as my main console. I would not want it for any kind of third party game because again, it's going to be the least version of whatever that game is in most cases. Now, sometimes they can make up for that, go in there, add a little gimmick, on PlayStation. I remember when the PS4 came out and with the little touchpad and everything on there, games were making some effort to make some interesting use of that. So maybe do that with the maybe in Mortal Kombat, maybe you can swing your hands around, do your combos like that or something like that.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, right. But it can't just be the same game, but it looks like, like someone kind of hawked the loogie on your screen a little bit there. Like, it's got to give something.
I'm excited.
First party games, that's where I think they shine at. Definitely.
I'm excited because Nintendo's all about innovation, right? So I love that. And last thing I want to say about the Nintendo Switch 2 is there is a USB-C port on the top and the bottom, which indicates that one will be used for charging and one could possibly be used for some type of accessory, whatever craziness they have. I'm hoping for the Pokemon camera or, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That brings me back right there.
That would be amazing. I'd be super happy with that. Or even like a link cable, like if let's just say myself and my wife are, flying to Maryland for something, just being on the plane, we could run a USB-C cable between my Switch and her Switch. We could play together. That would be pretty cool without having to connect.
Don't they do it with Bluetooth already now?
I honestly don't know because I've never tried it. So they might. I have no clue.
What is our time at for right now, man?
We're right at the top of the hour, so we're like 1 and 102 somewhere around there. We probably have time for one more. What do you want to talk about?
Time for one more.
Yeah.
So one other thing I wanted to kind of throw in there was it's like as they are ramping up, moving away from Dragon Age, Veilguard, and moving over to Mass Effect. Are they calling it 4 or is it 5? Technically it's 5, I know, but I don't know if they're counting. Are we just forgetting about Andromeda? Whatever. Moving on to the next Mass Effect. And apparently they've been letting go of some of their industry veterans over there. Now, I'm going to say this. My initial reaction to this was very much like, oh no, not cool. Why are you guys getting rid of veterans? Because, they're getting rid of people who were part of Star Wars, The Old Republic. Mostly that's kind of, The Old Republic 1 and 2. A lot of them are from Veilguard and like Anthem and stuff like that. But I'm a little mixed on this one. I'm going to tell you, because I'm sure there are plenty of like legit devs who ended up losing their jobs too. But a lot of the ones that I'm seeing make a big deal about are like some writers, some editors and stuff like that. And that's where I get a little torn because in recent years, the writing and everything, we're very much stand with the developers. We love our devs who gives us quality games. But I feel like the writing and some of the editing, those parts of BioWare's games recently have been part of the issue. Like, Andromeda was not bad because the game itself was bad. The game played fine. Yeah, there were some bugs and stuff that we all had a good laugh about. The eyes and, people all acting all crazy and stuff. That was funny. And that was like some dev side, hey, y'all could have cleaned this up a little bit more. But the real downside there was the writing, the story. And Dragon Age, I'm sorry, but Dragon Age hasn't, some people love too. I say Dragon Age hasn't had a good, interesting story since Origins. Like, so again, I wanted to bring it up because, you know, I think it's important to recognize that some of these companies, the way they move things around, and, you know, they need to be called out when they're just firing people for their own bottom line, especially people who have helped to make the company what it is. Like, even these people, even if their writing days are done, well, then fine, put them in a, you know, a different position doing something else with the company that they are a part of that legacy there. So I still want to show some solidarity with anybody losing their job there in that sense. But at the same time, like, I don't know, do you think it could be an actual benefit to the future games if they're switching directions with some of these things that, and honestly, in recent, you know, the last recent games here has not been all that well received?
You know, it's a touchy subject. It's kind of like what we hit on earlier. Nobody wants to talk about layoffs. And I would never say a layoff is justified. I do think that people in general add value to your company. And as a manager or in a management position, it's your job to figure out where that person adds the most value, right? Now, that's just general, you know. I don't want to talk about the writers being let go because I feel like they were full of talent, and I have a feeling a lot of the directions with the story changes probably came from a bunch of suits, right? Like
Fair. That's 100% fair.
Right. So if you look at BioWare before it got too big for its britches, they were awesome written games. And then they got too big for their britches and they try to do certain things and try to compete with other games, or they wanted to be inclusive or whatever the situation was. Now writers have hurdles they have to jump through. I have a feeling that if they had just let the writers do what they were told to do and paid to do, we would probably have better BioWare products. But I'm sure somewhere along the line, the suits came in and they changed the direction. I don't know. Obviously, I don't work at BioWare. But yeah, you know, heart goes out for those individuals that were let go. It's never a good thing. It's always a struggle. There's a small blessing in that it happened after the holidays, because there's just something about, around the holidays being laid off in December, and like now you're having meeting with all your family, you're struggling to provide for the holidays. There's just that weird dynamic there. But yeah, right after the holidays, I don't think that's much better either. So yeah, it's tough. My heart goes out for those families and the people that are impacted. Fortunately,
Yeah.
I'm sure they will find positions elsewhere, and I wish there was something I could do to help them out. But yeah, that's one of the things that I will say.
You got me, bro. And I'm gonna say I have to go back and fully readjust my opinion there, because I am always on the side of the worker in 99.9% of the time there. And I think looking at BioWare, because I grew up with BioWare, they created Mass Effect, which is literally my favorite game series of all time. I will tell anybody, when it comes to movies, you can argue between Lord of the Rings and Star Wars for what's the movie trilogy. Some of y'all can say Godfather, but we've all seen Godfather 3. And then but when it comes to games, there is one trilogy, and that is Mass Effect. So maybe some of that kind of got in there without me thinking too much about it. But yeah, you're very much correct. 'Cause, if they wrote what they wrote prior, then it's not fair to.
There was a lot of design decisions,
but yeah, it's designed by committee. Right.
It is.
Like,
and you could tell that with the most recent Dragon Age, there was a lot of design decisions that didn't necessarily add up, and it created this weird line of what is the vision. So yeah, I just feel like there was probably suits involved with that direction change.
Okay. So my apologies to all writers. All right. Love y'all. I've loved your games forever. If you're out there, if you happen to come across this random guy on here talking about it. But yeah, so going right back to
I want to say one thing before we move on.
Okay.
About this layoff, the thing that stood out the most to me was that the head of Larian. Did you see his comment about the layoffs? Did you see the head of Larian's comment?
Oh no, what did he say? Oh, don't make me dislike Larian. Come on, what did he say?
He said, and I quote, "On a pirate ship, they toss the captain overboard." Think about that for a minute. You want to let go of all these writers and these developers and these artists and these sound producers because the game didn't hit your sales when you're the one that ultimately made the decisions?
Yes.
Maybe the problem is the suits and not the workers who are sweating and working through crunch and trying to meet deadlines. That's all I want to say.
Oh man, Larian, you are a developer after my own heart. I'm telling you, boom, 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 boom. Sure. Like every time, and that's the realest thing. Like again, they're supposed to say, you know what rolls downhill, and that's part of the problem there because people who tell them what to do, they tell them, hey, do this. Oh, that didn't work out. Well, you're the one that's fired. Why is it not the one who told them to do this that way?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and again, I'm ashamed of myself for even having the question of, and I think a lot of that did come from my own bias of feeling a little something about how the recent games have not been what I had hoped they would be. It hadn't been at what I consider the quality that I expect from BioWare. But again, that is those corpos. That's the corpos on that side who are, really infecting things and not really like letting somebody, because again, it can be, and we're not going into any of that. Oh, well, it was woke, it was this, it was that, because I don't think it's that. It is just a lack of vision, because you can make something whatever extreme you want it to be, as long as that's your vision and you stick to it. But when it's not your vision and it's getting, manipulated by people who don't even care about games, they're looking at charts. Again, it's designed by committee.
Yep.
And yeah.
If we make this decision here, this could net us a profit margin of 1.2%, just some random stuff like that, and and those are the decisions that are driving these games. And that's why I prefer indies.
Hey, I like to think that Larian right now is the biggest indie out there.
Yeah, I would second that for what it's worth.
All right, y'all. Well, had some good discussions here. A little bit of egg on my face at the end, but I'll live up to it. I apologize for my inner rages and everything like that getting away from me. And yeah, I think that's a good place to cap it for this week. Sure. So
good conversation.
I'm not sure. Last week we had an in-between video, but again, these normally go about every 2 weeks or so. So if something pops off and we get another one out to you before then, we'll do our best. Maybe something will come up good. But if not, then we will see y'all in 2 weeks again. I am Adam, aka Risen Gaia, over on Twitch, and you can catch me there doing D&D and stuff. Don't forget, this coming Wednesday, that is February 5th, I'm going to be running open sessions with viewers, which means you can come in, join the Discord, create a new D&D character with the new rules and everything, and then I will run you through some D&D. And then, of course, we got Derick, aka Mr. Jericho, doing some awesome streams over there, some awesome indie games, planning on the 15th, I believe it's going to be. Double check me if I'm wrong there. 15th, getting ready to do a weekend stream for some Monster Hunter Wilds, which is absolutely very exciting.
Super
Plus,
excited about that.
My guy here knows his indie games, and he'll keep on streaming some of those on you for the weekends and stuff. Always. So make sure you go over there and check him out. Follow him on Twitch there. You got anything else you wanted to say before we go?
Nope, that's all I got. I appreciate your time, Adam. It's been a good conversation. I always love talking about the landscape of gaming because it changes pretty frequently. Definitely. For sure. And I just want to thank everybody for your support. We've constantly seen this channel grow. Our viewership has grown tremendously each and every video. But we are still growing. So if you have any feedback, please be sure to drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And yeah, make sure you follow us. So we're both on Twitch. We're both on YouTube. We're both on TikTok. He's on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for everybody, or thank you so much for everyone. And I think that's all we got. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Like, subscribe. See you later. Peace. Bye.